What if you joined a company and in your first month there, you closed a B2B deal with Google and in the second month with Apple? This is what we are going to learn today. In today's episode of Founders Podcast, we chat with Greg Grant, the sales expert who made this a reality. Greg shares his journey of transforming startups into industry giants, revealing insights on enterprise relationship building, consultative selling, and the role of AI in sales. Whether you're a founder looking to gain traction or a sales professional aiming to refine your skills, this episode is packed with valuable lessons. Let's dive in. Hello, Greg. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ash. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. Greg, before we start, then, do you have a favorite quote, something that motivates you, inspires you, you would like to share with our audience?
I think it goes back from an old movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a very famous sales movie here in America, probably worldwide. And the lead character, Alec Baldwin, was going in and training a team with real estate agents that were not doing so well. And he went and did this whole thing. And his thing on the board was ABC, always be closing. So, well, I've turned into much more of a consultative salesperson as I've grown through my career. It is important. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in sales, nothing else matters except for your quota and did you hit your numbers or not? All the rest are stories. So I think always in the back of my head when I'm talking and coaching my sales team is, yeah, that's great. What do you have to do to paint the picture to get to the deal? So always be close,
Indeed.
be the one for me.
Indeed. And you've been in B2B and B2C, all kind of sales, profiles before. And it would be great to learn from you, especially for our founders who are navigating through the trenches right now. Because I think one of the biggest challenge in founders' life is not building the world-class product, but having more people know about it, making sales, understanding how to get more eyeballs. So I think today's episode is going to be very fruitful because this is the thing which the leaders needs to understand, the founders needs to understand to actually gain traction on their product, right? So Greg, before we jump on to all these details about how you magically make millions of pounds and sorry, millions of dollars because you're in USA for all these sales teams and organizations. Can I ask you a hypothetical question? Can I say, let's imagine that you are in a room full of founders, right? They're sitting there, they're waiting desperately for you to come on the stage. You walk in, the flashlight is on you, you have the mic. Which story you will tell them that after listening to it, they will stick with us for the rest of the hour?
Wow. There are just so many through the years. So I guess we have a couple paths we can go down. Um, the one would be more of a successful story about sales, but I think the more impactful one, especially when the owners, kind of rephrase it a different way, I guess, in my head, is that I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your why. And I think that's a story that matters. So for me, I would say the story that would be impactful would be my why of why I do what I do, why I started G Squared Advisors in the
Mm,
first place. And I had a long career in corporate, very successful. And it was just time for me to move on. During the career in corporate, I ended up working with a startup, a very young CEO, 25 years old, and really good guy, really good products, but just did not have the experience to build a company, build a sales team, anything like that. So I left my corporate job. I got, a payout because I'd been there for 10 years. And I literally took 3 months to build it and 6 months to lead his team for nothing. I didn't even have him pay me just because I wanted to help this kid out. Anyway, when we got to the end of this engagement, which was pro bono, because I really just wanted to help this kid, he just looked me in the eye and said, you know what, Greg, is from the time you spent me, you literally changed my business and you changed my life. And that's where the light went on for me. I've always been in sales my whole life. I went and chased money and done this all kind of thing. But at the end of the day, there was an emptiness there. The money was good. The sales were exciting. Even at the sales at the end, when I closed a $100 million deal at Google, there wasn't much of a climax there. So with what I do now, when I go in and I help these founders that are starting to bring their companies up and help them build out their infrastructure and help out getting their teams accountable and getting them better at consultative selling using AI, I get notes. You can look on my LinkedIn or my website. There's 15 CEOs that have gushed about what I've done for them and salespeople that have enjoyed working for me. I think it was that for me, it was just really a transition of, and I think everybody who starts a business as a founder, there's something that tickled you that said, I have to do this, right? If it's just I have to do this to make money, certainly can work, but is it going to be satisfying? And for me, as I get older, I want to be around people I like working with. I'm around people that want to grow and be better. Very long story condensed down, but
Right. So let's get back to. So you mentioned you had this $1 million deal with Google. So you helped scale both Google and Apple at
correct.
Celestica, right?
Mhm.
From greenfield accounts into the 9-figure revenue relationship. What did you understand about enterprise relationship building that most sales teams still completely miss today?
Mm. Well, I think it depends on the level of salesperson. One thing, I think I'm fortunate is that I was in high tech and with some very big companies, and high tech actually really invests a lot into their salespeople. And there's a lot of training. So I was at Celestica. They put me through 3 different consultative sales training programs because we were, what you call in sales the whale hunters, right? We weren't going after
Mm,
10,000 people. So I think that one of the most important things in enterprise selling is organizational mapping. So what a lot of salespeople do is they go in and they get someone to take a meeting with them, and then that's their person. The challenge in most of those cases is the person that you normally meet the first time is not going to be the final decision maker. They may be able to get you in the room with that person. And so
mm,
people generally tend to meet 1 or 2 people at an account, and then they try and get the deal done. If you're selling at too low of a level, you're relying on someone who really doesn't understand you or your product, going into with executives and trying to sell for you. So the big game is how do you get in the room with the decision makers and find out what their challenges are, and at the same time make what we would you want to build what you call a champion. You want to get that person that you just for some reason they like you and you like them and it's good. I had that one person at Google, and that was what navigated me through the whole entire organization into Google Fiber and Home and all their internal stuff. But there's one guy, so I think the first thing is go around, find out who that person is. The other thing is don't target too low. A lot of people are intimidated to call on a CEO or a senior VP. That's where the good discussions happen. And yes, it's going to be harder to get to them, but if you get them in the room, you're going to have really good discussions and probably move the ball forward in a sale than if you just hang out with 1 or 2 people. So I think those are 2 very important things. Also, it's going to sound so silly, but don't sell, right? Your job as a salesperson, especially at the highest levels, is I compare it to a doctor's visit. You don't go in the doctor's office, shake his hand, and he gives you a bottle of pills, right? You sit there for 45 minutes, he asks you questions, he pokes, he prods, and he says, okay, I think this will help you. That's the job of a salesperson. And that's what makes sales
mm,
rewarding is you're finding and you don't say this, it's cliche, but we can say it. What keeps them up at night, right? Why are they 2 o'clock in the morning? Okay, so let's try and figure out how we can help you solve that. And you can do that. You make money, they solve a problem, and you've got a lifelong friend. And that's the magic of real consultative selling.
indeed, indeed. And one thing which I have recognized after reading through the notes I have is being into sales for a B2C is a totally different game compared to the being in sales of B2B, because you could sell $10 product to 10 people if you speak with, I don't know, 1,000 people, let's say minimalistic percentage, right? But you could do it within a month. When it comes to B2B sales, you could be engaging with one individual for a year, and suddenly you realize that you cannot have a sales with them because you do not have capability to accept purchase orders or something like that, right? There are so many layers when it comes to B2B sales. Talk to our listeners about what are the minimalistic prerequisite, especially in software or technology companies, because a lot of our listeners are into tech businesses. What are the very basic prerequisite before even jumping into B2B side of the business?
I think about sales in a process and systematic way. I'm an electrical engineer by schooling. I'm not the raw level of so I look at process and systems first. So number one, you have to have a CRM system. You're going to be talking
Mm,
to a lot of different people. You're going to talk a lot of different accounts. They're complicated. You want to have records. You want to have a sales pipeline so you can actually have visibility into your deals and if they're moving forward or if they're stalled and what the next steps are in setting tasks. Those are all the kind of things. I think another thing in B2B sales, of course, is, and I think in sales in general, which is largely passed up, is doing a lot of research before you have those meetings, before you can pick up the call or send that email. Make
mm,
sure you know about the company and a little bit more about the person. It's amazing the amount of people. Let's say you're a podcast host, you probably get 20, 30 emails a day from people who want to be in your, and 90% of them are form letters. They haven't put any time to put the thought into it, right? When we talked, I actually listened to a couple of your podcasts. to see if it makes sense, right? So I think that's really important, is to understand and use AI for that for sure. Deep research is a fantastic tool right now. So I think that's important. And I think also you run into this a lot with either founder-led sales or the CEO is leading a small sales team just by default. You got to do some consultative sales training. If you're going to go in with the approach of I'm going to sell them on my cool product, you're going to lose a lot. I'll tell you that the best presentation that a founder can do is the one they never go in and have discussions, go in with lots of open-ended questions, understand the business, think about, a great effort for AI. Hey, I'm going to meet with this client. We're going to talk about this product. This is where they work. This is what they do. This is what we do. Give me 3 different things that I could talk about from a value proposition standpoint that might impress them. Or give me 5 open-ended questions I could ask them to understand more about X, Y, Z. You can really use AI there to help yourself do the research and prep for the meeting. So I think it's systems process. Now, if you have a sales team, then it's all about accountability. And that's about one-on-ones and quotas and ideal client profile, territory involvement, all those kind of things. So there's a lot. If you were to look at when I walk into my clients as a fractional chief revenue officer, I've built out a 4 quadrant, 16 spoke model off it, but there's literally 16 different things that need to happen to have a sales organization run at truly peak efficiency. So it's a lot. So read, learn, and use a consultant, take some sales training. All those things can help you get there faster.
You also mentioned that in enterprise sales, you have to do quite a lot of research, right? And you talk a lot about enterprise sales being treated like a hustle instead of an operating system. What are the clearest sign a company is still running on hustle when it comes to enterprise sales?
So great question, and it's strange because it's blatantly apparent to me. It's almost universal. So when I walk into a client, obviously things aren't good as a fractional chief revenue officer. They've probably hired a couple of VP sales or CROs. It didn't work out. Sales are flattered down. So they bring me in. And I see a lot of times I see the same thing. Or culture. I see CEOs not trusting sales teams. The biggest thing to the direct question is no system. I walk in and this salesperson has a spreadsheet and this person has a Google Doc and this one, and I'm going to ask them, when are they going to close? Oh, I don't know, sometime in July. Well, okay, what makes you think it's going to be in July? Like, I have my sales teams prove it to me. If you can't prove it to me, right, then there's no system there. What I also do is I interview all the sales teams, CEO, COO, CFO, anybody who will talk to me and understand what they're doing right now. I find crazy things. I find CEOs that they pay their sales people very large base salaries, no variable commission, and they wonder why they're not selling. And to me, it's almost common sense, but maybe it's common sense because I've been in sales for 40 years. A salesperson is not going to be motivated to get up and hustle if they don't have something to chase and make more money. So it's a combination of lack of process, right, which I can find out quickly with the system, lack of strategy. Do they even know who they're calling on? Do they have their territories designed right? Do they have the right people in the right seats? Execution. How are they doing it? How are they approaching the market? How are they? There's a value proposition clean. Have they done a SWOT analysis? How all those things fit together? And then strategy, right? Where are you going from a big picture standpoint? Are you just going out and running and you don't? So there is a lot of that, like, hey, salesperson, here's a list of 250 accounts, go get them. And I
Mm,
would say take the top 25, throw the rest out, and let's focus on those and really try and get something done. There's not a salesperson in the world that can service 250 accounts.
indeed, indeed. And that is a very good flow into my second next question, which is imagine you join a new startup. They have an amazing product, best product in the world, right? It's built for an enterprise. Let's say, I don't know, one of the product. You join a company which has a product which let people automate video editing. They can add captions, they can cut silences, the denoises, everything. So you know the product is really cool because now anybody can just create some API calls or automation with N10 or something like that, and then upload a video, raw video on one end, which is Google Drive, and the other end, it's all polished, edited, everything, right? Good product. What is the step-by-step framework you as a sales director or as a CMO or whichever position or title you think would be responsible to bring more sales in from the B2B spectrum? What framework do you use step by step to make sure that this company becomes a successful B2B enterprise?
So I wish I could give you a clean answer on that. And the reason I can't is that every one of my engagements is custom. There's nobody that's the same. There are certain overarching things I'm going to look at. So
Mm.
if you look at the sales training programs I have with the at the AIsalesleader.com, I run everything off of a principle called the 5 Ps, right? Which is based off of people, process, pipeline, psychology, like those kind of things. So it's all based under there. So you have to look at all those buckets first. You have to look at all the things I was talking about: process, strategy, execution, accountability. But it's just literally different. I may go into one client and all their salespeople are doing great on LinkedIn. I may go to another client and their salespeople don't even have a LinkedIn profile. I have a client I'm working with right now, and they have account manager team. The account manager team's never had any sales training. So I guess the thing is there are people who do what I do that have what I would call a cookie cutter approach. And this is what we do every time, right? That's not sales to me. Sales to me, going back to before, is understanding your specific challenges and developing a program around that. So the process I have is getting in and now I will do a scope of work to start, and things that will be done will be like CRM system, compensation plans, onboarding, coaching, weekly one-on-ones, CRM, hygiene, all those type of really important things in an organization. So I have the buckets, but as far as how I approach those buckets, I mean, I've been doing this particular business I've had for 7 years. I've helped over 50 clients, and I've only had two in the same business. And every other one of those were in businesses I knew nothing about before I started. So I live a kind of a chaotic life because I have to get in and very quickly understand their business and figure out how to fix it.
What information would you need to, so anything hypothetical, what information would you need to define a framework? The reason I'm asking you this question is because what happens is when our listeners are listening, they want to understand what is your approach towards getting into the mud and making things out of it. Because hiring a, a C-suite executive like one yourself is very expensive,
Oh
first of
yeah.
all. Right. And in order to make that decision, the listeners need to understand if this approach or a framework would work with them or not. So, what kind of information would you require in order to help our listeners to define our strategy?
I think the question back would be, or the thing to consider is the size of the company. Very different. If it's a
Mm,
company that's, two people running the company, it's not affordable. So a really good option is what I do. You bring in a fractional executive. It's still not cheap, but it's cheaper if you look at burdened and benefits and all those kind of things. And you're bringing in someone who's an expert. So what I can do in 90 days, I guarantee you, and all my clients will tell you, I can go in and completely turn around a sales organization in 90 days. But if they're a bigger company, right? So what's the structure? Do they already have a VP and three sales managers and a sales team? Is it just founder-led sales? There's a big difference there of how you approach it. If you can afford it, yeah, of course, get the bigger person because they're going to be better at the job. If not, I really do think a fractional executive bringing somebody in for 90 days, that's what we do. We go in and we figure out what is not working and we make it work. So yeah, it's a tough situation. A lot of my clients I've had were under $2 million, and that's why they bring me in. Like I can't afford two, 300, $400,000 for a C-level person, but I can spend 30, 40 grand, have a fractional person come in, get me set up, teach me how to do this, and then
mm,
build a Ferrari and give them the keys at the end.
sure, sure. A lot of people now sort of like prove, or I wouldn't say prove. A lot of people communicate on different social media, especially on LinkedIn,
Mm.
that you don't need to sort of hire a CMO anymore because you can actually use AI to completely replace your marketing team. First of all, the marketing mediums have changed drastically in last 20 years, right? We had newspaper, we had television, we had billboards. All that has been shifted to digital world now. People at least touch 7 times a brand before making a purchase decision. People buy from people. So nowadays, company founders, they are more active on social media. They have special departments for it who generate different kind of content to create trust, because creating trust is almost very expensive now in a saturated space. I understand that AI is, you cannot run away from AI now, but how much do you think these kind of statements are valid, and what are the repetitive, or not repetitive, but even sort of creative aspects of marketing and sales which AI would replace completely in next 5 to 10 years?
Boy, Yeah, that's a big discussion point right now. Anybody in marketing that's listening probably won't likely, but I do agree with you that marketing is a lot of things. Like for instance, if we're talking I'm working on a flyer for the AI sales leader for the programs there. Claude's doing it for me. I would have had to hire somebody on Fiverr or Upwork or something before. I wouldn't hire somebody in the U.S. Sorry, use outsourced labor as well too. So yeah, I mean, marketing, LinkedIn, I do all my own stuff, my brochures, all my posting, all my blogs, I do it. So I think the doer, kind of the digital agencies, digital designers, graphic designers, there's, I think the area though that still will be needed is that the higher level, the CMO level. That I don't know. I've done a couple marketing plans with AI. They were okay. So I don't know. I think the higher level strategy, but the lower level, hey, I need to, look, I can go into a number of programs, give it a prompt while I'm talking to you, have it run 30 videos. I come back and pick the top three, and I've got my post for LinkedIn for the week. That's true. And it's written the post for me. So it's a real deal, even for me, right? So one of the big things I do for my clients is compensation plans, right? Well, I'm good at it, but there are people now, I think that AI can get it done. We're in a period right now because now AI, look, a lot of people still use AI as a chatbot. But the people who are advanced in using it, like I am, and building agents and all these kind of things, they're seeing those possibilities. And even for me, so okay, yeah, I'm going to do a comp plan. Well, I'm a CEO. I'm going to do a comp plan for my sales team. I'll do three of them, and I'll pick one and see how it works. What's going to happen? My prediction. I'm seeing it happen now. 6 months, they're going to realize that AI cannot replace someone like me or someone at that C level that really has. I got 40 years on the street. AI has not sat in 3,000 sales meetings. So that kind of thing. I don't think that can be replaced. I don't think the consultative salesperson. I think on the B2C side, other AI business development reps and things like that, it's kind of creepy, but I think that. So I would say, just like in most things, like in here, they're talking in America, they're talking people and bookkeeping, things like that. So where I see AI hitting it is at the lower levels, the entry level, the people with 3 years experience. My theory, and hopefully I'm right, is that if you dive into AI and you become an orchestrator of these systems, the more you use AI, the more you realize that yeah, they can do things, but the deeper and the bigger the projects get, it gets confused a lot and you have to redirect things. Like I was working on my website. I could have probably hired somebody to do it for $1,000, but I'm learning it, so it's okay. Anyway, so short story, I think lower skilled people there will be risk. The higher end, I don't know for sure, crystal ball, but I believe we'll be okay. Also, though, that's why I've diverted too and started going more into the sales training realm because I'm seeing what's happening in my core business. And what I've done now to counteract that is to develop the AI sales leader and have training programs that don't exist today about training salespeople and sales leaders and CEOs how to sell and how to utilize the technology exactly how you're talking about to utilize and make yourself a force multiplier.
You also trademarked the CASL, CASH, REAP, and the Sales Leadership Forum, right? What
Mhm.
gap in the market did you realize nobody else was solving properly when you
Yeah.
did that?
So one of the other things I do is I do a lot of sales leadership training. I've been doing this for years. I go in, they have a sales leader, they're new or they're young. I go in and they mentor them. So through this of doing this, many years, I said, wow, you know what? And I looked. There's really no great sales leadership training programs, period, out there. There's lots of sales programs, right? How to sell, how to close, how to get motivated. Nothing for sales leaders. And then I said, wait a minute. Not only is there anything for sales leaders, but there's nothing for sales leaders with AI forward. Some of the older sales training companies are like bolting on a module. Oh, we have an AI role play tool. We have this. I built this from the ground up, AI forward. So no sales leadership program, no sales leadership program with AI. So that's when the light bulb went on. So I built that. Then I built that and said, well, that's great, but how are the salespeople going to get trained? So then I built Cash, which is for the new business development salespeople, and REAP, which is for your account managers who have to get more business. Then I said, well, being a VP of sales or CRO is really a very lonely place to be. You don't have anybody to talk to. There's nobody in your company that you can strategize with. So I'm building a mastermind forum. It's a safe place for 12 sales leaders from different industries to come in virtually and do issue processing. Hey, I've got this issue with my team. Hey, how are you guys using AI to do this? It's cheap. It's online. People from the UK could join as long as I do it early enough. So that's kind of where the whole thing came from. And plus, I'm being an engineer. This is the most excited I've been about technology, and you can probably hear it pulsing about AI right now because it's just for me, it's changed my life. It's been able to productize what I did. There was bits and pieces of this program for years, and I've done these trainings informally. But within a 6 month period, I was able to pull the entire thing together. And that's like 700 PowerPoint slides and websites and videos, all that kind of stuff. Had it not been for AI, it's probably 3 to 5 years before I would have been able to launch it.
Great stuff. So Before we move towards our quick fire round, Greg, what I wanted to ask you is a golden nugget. What steps a founder should take? Let's say, imagine a small company, right? Couple of million they have raised, 10, 12 people working in their startup. They founded it based in Silicon Valley and they're into B2B space. What steps they should take? Maybe let's say 3 or 4 steps to get ready before even approaching to B2B customers. And then once they're ready, what steps, what strategy they should use in order to get B2B sales?
Well, first thing is truly understanding your value proposition. What is the value you're providing? Not your cool product, not the features and benefits, the end result. If I'm on the other, I always tell all my clients and salespeople, make believe you're on the other side of the desk and somebody's listening to you pitch to them. How does that feel? So do some fake pitches. You can build yourself an AI role play tool, very easy. There's commercially available products. Here's my big tip for the day. If you want to do it yourself, go to 11 Labs. I think it's like $9 a month. They have a little thing called Voice Agent. You go in there, you write a little script, and you can literally role play a meeting. Take that
Mm,
meeting out, run that through your AI, have it do some coaching and some analysis for consultative selling techniques. What are the 3 things I did good? What are the 3 things I could do? Test it, play around with it. You have the technology to do that. Value proposition. Number 2, ideal client profile. Who is your ideal client? If you tell me your ideal client is companies with 1 to 20 people that are under $5 million, I'm going to throw you back and tell you to keep working on it. You need to boil that. Who is, I'm not everybody who could buy it. Who is, you could only pick one client. Who is that?
mm,
Find out who that is, and then go out from there, duplicate that. And then you have to think about your outreach. How are you going to do it? There's a combination. I hate to say this, as a lifelong salesperson, but email prospecting is largely dead right now. If you even get through, it's spammy. Unfortunately, LinkedIn has been my main thing for years, and it's getting very AI sloppish now. I mean, be
mm.
transparency. My LinkedIn posts, I edit them, but AI drafts them for me. It does all my imagery, right? And you see it now. If you're smart and you know AI, you can see the posts are AI, you can see the comments are AI. A lot of automation going. So it's tough. So it goes to me back to selling when I started, in the 90s. It's like you got to go and you got to meet people where they are and face to face and have coffees and lunches and drinks and dinners and build personal relationships, right? People buy from people they trust and like, period. You're not going to buy
We are going back to 1980s,
that's
1990s now.
exactly right, man. It's just like the Levi's come around, and it's the same thing. What's old
Yeah.
new, I have sales teams sending handwritten cards. I have them listening to a podcast, and the guy said, "Oh, I really like Jim Jones whiskey," and then they send him a
Mm.
bottle of whiskey, like things like that, just to be memorable and different, because it is noisier than it's ever been before, Asher.
Indeed. Indeed. Great. So, any particular pointers you want to highlight before we move into our quick fire round to the founders after they have done all this, what you have mentioned? Any particular strategy? I know email, outbound marketing, LinkedIn is very tough to do, but being in AI, anything which have worked for you in past couple of months or you think might work in the future?
I'll give you the big don't, and the big
Mm-hmm.
don't think you're going to send out 10,000 emails and get any clients in B2B. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
a whole different thing, so B2C, that's all marketing, all right? So you can do like, yeah, I don't know. I don't plan on doing like Instagram and TikTok for what I do for a living. But in that case, yeah, frankly, I think in B2C, it's a lot easier to reach scale because the sales are easier, they're quicker, they're lower dollar, they're easy to make a decision. But your point before sticks with me that you interact with a brand 7 times before you make a purchase. Bring that stuff all the time. You go on a website, you put something in your cart, you don't buy it. And you get the email once a week. And all of a sudden, 3 months later, you're putting into the cart. That doesn't happen when you're selling a $250,000 center switch. So it's a very different methodology where you can be more feature benefit product pushy with, buy it today, get 20% off.
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling B2B, the more complex the sale, the slower you have.
Great stuff. Well, Greg, thank you so much. Let's move into our quick fire round. I have got 6 quick fire question for you. At any stage, if you feel you do not want to answer any question, just give me a skip and then I can move on to the next one. Sounds good?
It's good. Let's go.
Great. What are the top 3 strategies to generate leads in 2026?
Man, that's a bomb, Ash. Let's see. I think I still would say LinkedIn is good. Cold calling, what's old is new, and networking, I think, is number one
Mm,
right now. You need to have a referral partner network. My business is 100% referral based. I had luck, knock on wood, or make too much noise on the mic here, but it's been 7 years. My phone rings every couple months, and we're good to go. That's the big
mm,
thing. Network, join networking groups, meet people, meet with people that could be clients, build relationships, ask people for introductions, get involved in the community. It'll take a while to build, but there's no better business than referral business because it closes at an extremely high rate.
Yeah, because you're basically getting trust passed by from your previous or friend or
Bringing
customers
in
to
a
the
trusted advisor, it's like I think my close rate when I'm referred in is probably 90%.
great stuff. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Okay, that's an easy one. So my favorite sales book is called New Sales Simplified by a guy named Mike Weinberg.
Hmm.
15 Amazon, fantastic consultative sales training book. Yeah, I like him. And there's another guy named Jeb Blount, Jebblount. I'm a big fan of his books too. And I'm writing my own now, so I'm about a year away.
Which one you're writing? Would you be able to share?
I'm writing a book about my strategy and how I go to market and how I use AI with my clients and all
Hmm,
the things that are modeled off of the certified sales leader training program. So it'll be a big one. I think I'm about halfway through the intro now. So stay tuned. It's going
perfect.
to be a while.
Perfect. Great. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
I'm sorry I missed that one.
What's one attribute or characteristics in your mind of a successful founder?
One is hard tenacity.
I agree. I have interviewed more than 200 guests on the show by now, and almost at least if on top of my head, I think at least 30% of them said tenacity is one characteristic you need.
No, it happens when you're an entrepreneur. Stuff happens and there's nobody to help you. Real life situation. It was 2 days ago, and I was working on my website with AI, and I got a lead introduction about 4 o'clock. Really hot lead, looks like a really good prospect. And the introduction from my referral partner says, "Take a look at Greg's website." So I go,
Mm,
quick sanity check at the website. Oh my gosh, AI went in there and it did change some imagery and some text. And I
mm,
know I have a prospect looking at my website and freaking out. So it's and that stuff happens all the time as an entrepreneur. You run into say like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And there's nobody to help you. So, but the upside is you're working for yourself, you can make good money, you can help people, and I think being an entrepreneur is a wonderful lifestyle. However, when the shit hits the fan, the shit hits the fan.
it does. It does. Is it? What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
AI, Claude.
Yep. Yeah. Cloud. Are you using the max plan? I'm guessing yes.
Oh yeah, $200 a month, and I burned through it in 4 days. I've had many 18-hour sessions with Claude, and eating and sleeping became optional, and lots of coffee. But I love it. Again,
Lots
the
of
engineering side, I'm watching it write code, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just told you to do this PowerPoint presentation, and in 3 minutes it's done, and it's better than anything I ever could have done, even if I took 20 hours of PowerPoint classes. Blows me away.
yeah.
Every time I'm amazed and equally frustrated when I ask it to do the same thing 40 times and it still can't complete the task. So
Yeah.
there's both
Yeah.
sides.
What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
I don't think I have anything. I got two businesses running right now, Ash, 58. I can't think of anything else. Just right now, this is,
Tell me a gap which you might have recognized in the past, which you would think it would be a good idea somebody built something for
oh,
you.
I got it. CEO training for how to work with your sales team.
Mm,
That actually might be a program. I'm going to write that down. Here's why.
there you go.
Every company I come into is the same thing. I don't know what the salespeople are doing. They're not selling up, and they're mean and they're condescending and they don't spend any time with them. It's like one of the things in my book is like I ask every CEO when I start, when's the last time you had lunch with your top salesperson? And every time it's
Mm,
the same thing. They give me a blank stare. Can you believe
mm,
that? Here's the guy that's bringing in or woman that's bringing in the most revenue for the company. If it wasn't for that person, you wouldn't have finance, you wouldn't have HR, you wouldn't have your people in operations, and you haven't had lunch with him in a year? You don't even know what his kids' names are? Gosh, it happens every time. It blows me away.
mm,
That's it. Having CEOs learn. There's probably a book like it out there, I'm guessing, but like the CEOs that I can't stand are the ones that sit in their office with the door closed.
mm.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Right. What's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Let's see. I was a hang glider pilot for 20 years.
Wow.
And then I guess the other one, which always shocks people, is I'm very into hardcore heavy metal is my choice of music. So people generally don't
Mm.
like my look doesn't quite, I guess, stereotypically look like what a hardcore metalhead would be. But if you saw me when I was 16 and had hair around my shoulders, then it would be different. But yeah, those are things that
Oh,
typically people wouldn't guess at a first discussion with
I'm picturing already that when your Claude is programming, you're playing some metal in the
me.
background and then like vibing through it, right?
Yeah, you pretty much have it mapped out, Ash.
Yeah, great. Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining me and sharing the story, unpacking, all this wisdom. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
Sure. Can certainly reach out to me on LinkedIn, just Greg Grand, Greg Grand. And then definitely go check out the AI Sales Leader, the AI Sales Leader, which will go into great detail on all of the sales training and coaching.
Perfect. And you also mentioned that you have a freebie for our listeners if they want. So what would that be?
I do. I have a couple different things I'm thinking. I'm writing a couple of different articles right now. I'm finalizing, so I'm going to kind of take our discussion of what we had today and either modify one of those or probably just write something fresh that'll be pertinent to our conversation. Matter of fact, if you happen to have a transcript on this, that would be cool to send to me, and I could start getting some ideas. But yeah, I'll get something and give it to you so you can send it to your viewers afterwards.
Great stuff. Well, if you're listening to this episode, sign up to our newsletter and, obviously you get new episode and founder stories straight to the inbox, but you will also get a direct download link from Greg with the freebie on your way, right? Greg, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing through your educational services and coaching services. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders.
Thank you, Asha. Thanks for having me. It was fun.